very good friends in Guanajuato, and it's a couple with 2 kids, and our families were very close. And the husband was from Britain, and the wife was from Mexico, and they would have these arguments about
culture
this.
Clash.
Yeah. And it's true. I mean, the kids need to sleep, and frankly, we didn't stay in Mexico because the education was not good. And I think part of it is that the kids can't learn more because they are tired.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
And poorly nourished, like sent to school with Coke and very fried things, and like.
It's the good Coke, though.
It is the good Coke.
No, not all of it. Not all of it, unfortunately. No.
Actually, I did read an article recently about, we always talk about the Mexican Coke, and it's the, cane sugar versus.
I'm being sarcastic. I think sugar.
It's a thing. No, I think it's legit if you have not to say that it makes it healthy, but
it's so much healthier, the cane sugar.
It doesn't make it as gross, I guess. But they're starting to actually use more and more of the high fructose corn sugar or corn syrup in the Mexican Cokes as well.
It's probably because of the China trade thing. Got to sell the corn.
I mean, Coca-Cola has a massive, massive hand in Latin America.
Right.
And I mean, they own the water. They own
Africa too, I think.
Yeah. It's actually a little like Coca-Cola and Nestle are.
It's creepy.
It's nerdy.
It's a little creepy.
Yeah, a little creepy. I agree. Okay. So you've been there for a year, year and 6 months. And then you went to Europe into Morocco.
Yep.
And was that just traveling, for vacation or?
No. So we were in Guanajuato for 3 weeks. I went from sleeping 3 to 5 hours a night to I spent 2 weeks sleeping 14 hours a night for the first time in my life. I slept.
Oh my God.
Aside from a period of time where I was exhausted with an infant and I would just sleep when I could.
Yeah.
And we explored the city like crazy for 3 weeks. And then I was like, okay, I've seen all of the city. Now
what?
I've got 11 months and 1 week left.
Oh my God.
What the heck
now
am I going to do? Yeah. So I did 2 things. One was I had this like overwhelming crazy urge to go to Office Depot. I was like, I have to go to Office Depot. And my husband's like, okay.
Office supplies.
I needed flip charts. So bad.
Oh my God, you are my people.
So I, all of a sudden, like all of these ideas that had been with me for a long time that I was like, shut up, I can't talk to you because I've got other shit to do.
Yeah.
Were just like, let us out. So that happened. And that was where Full Potential Ventures was born. There was a lot of like totally bad ideas that came out first, and luckily I have a really great community of people that can tell me like when I'm being stupid, so they're like, yeah, don't do that
one. Cross that one off.
Well, what kind of community of people? Friends, family, combination of both, business peers?
Not family. I mean, except my husband and daughter. That's like my family. So I have a chosen family more than a biological family that is like the people that I go to.
Nice.
That it kind of happened in rounds. Like, so the first round was more friends and colleagues that I had worked with that I had built really deep relationships with, who were like, I don't think that's your superpower, or somebody else is doing that, or I think that would drive you fucking batty. Like, you could do it and there's a need, but like that is not like, maybe I'm wrong.
Not who you are.
That is not.
That's awesome to have those relationships.
It really is.
And then I had like, once I landed on a few solid ideas, I did some market research and then really went out to a broader scope of my network. So I did that, and I signed up and went to the university full time. And so, I did a semester before I realized, like, oh, if I actually want to have a business and have it be successful, I can't go to school 5 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Right.
So though I was so incredibly productive when I was in school, like I would sit down during half-hour break and I would hammer out an article that I would then like submit for publication. And so there's just something about the like, there was so much energy and creativity happening for me at that time, and so much learning. Like, things were firing. And so I launched my business and really started as a pilot. And again, because it was sabbatical, I didn't have to make money. My original thought was, we'll go away for a year, we'll come back, I'll go back into, and I'll find another CEO or chief people officer role or whatever role. And so I just wasn't invested in this has to work, and I could be more playful with it.
Yeah,
which
feels good.
Was really fun, and it worked. And I mean, I can't say that oh my God, it was I'm rolling in it now, but certainly have had a lot of success that I didn't anticipate having.
So that rolls into tell us about Full Potential Ventures, because I geek out every time I get your newsletter, by the way. And I get a bajillion newsletters and I don't read most of them. I read yours top to bottom every time.
That's awesome.
Every
that's
time.
Awesome. So that Full Potential Ventures came out of, like I said, I had been in C-level roles in the nonprofit sector, mostly in large national nonprofits. And I was incredibly lucky throughout my career to have a lot of points of investment in my growth. Executive coaches at every point of transition. I participated in a 3-year fellowship with Gap, the clothing company, where I got to be alongside their leaders, and the leadership development, which is pretty extensive in
awesome.
that company. And it's sort of unheard of that the nonprofit sector gets such an insight into A, high quality professional development, and B, kind of the business corporate perspective. And so I had that. I had scholarship to some incredible opportunity at Harvard Business School, Stanford Business School. So I had all these different things. And I wound up becoming a chief people officer, and I prior to that I was chief operating officer and overseeing talent. And one of the things that constantly was standing out to me is how few people had that opportunity. And then when leaders were getting something, it was often these one-off, it was either one-off and good quality, but one-off and it wasn't going to stick, because the train and pray method, or it was not great quality.
But let's just pause for a second, because you mentioned a couple of times you had some great opportunities that many people don't have. Do you think that it's that your opportunities presented themselves to you in ways that they don't present themselves to other people, or that you are extra curious and interested in taking advantage of those opportunities?
It's both and.
And do you think that has anything to do with the fact that it was in the nonprofit sector, or it's there for everybody and you just have to witness it? And
so the nonprofit sector is notorious for being resource constrained and having a mindset of scarcity, and so the opportunities don't exist as much as they do in the corporate sector, where there's a lot of programming often built in-house, and it's part of the ethos that we want to develop all or some subset of our talent for whatever the particular business objectives are. And so that just doesn't exist in the same way. And that's, so I got a little, by the time I left to Mexico, I was a little jaded. I had been hired as the chief people officer for an organization to do some really, really great work. Yes, finally somebody gets it. And within 6 months, I was asked to step in to be the CEO because of some very sudden needs for the CEO to exit. And what became clear was that there was an incredible financial problem that had been well hidden. And what it meant was...
Well, that's a pleasant little surprise.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it just became clear that the investment in people was going to get pulled back yet again while they moved into survival mode. And so, yes, I had a lot of opportunities. That was both a function of luck and privilege, as well as me just being hard driving and ambitious and seeking those opportunities. But I think even for people who are seeking them, sometimes they don't exist. They wind up going to these one-off things. And because a lot of the better programs and fellowships are tens of thousands of dollars. And yes, Kellogg can pay for that, or whoever. But most nonprofits cannot.
Right.
So I wanted to create something that was accessible, and both financially accessible and geographically accessible. And that was sort of selfish as well as part of the business model, because I wanted to be able to have location independence. What became very clear in part of our choosing Guanajuato was that I did not want to commute anymore. I was so freaking tired. I was both commuting. For the past decade, I had either been commuting to San Francisco or Oakland for sort of my daily existence. And yes, I was able to work from home some of the times. Like I was able to work that in.
Massage it.
But I also traveled a ton for both of my roles, and or not both of my roles, but in both of the organizations.
Yeah. Right.
And I was just sick of it. I was so tired. It's so exhausting. It's very taxing. And my teams were always across the U.S., so it was always remote. I had gained an incredible skill developing teams across a broad swath of And so I didn't want to commute anymore. Like, we did not have a car for 2 years.
Oh God, that sounds like heaven.
It was totally amazing. And we thought when we moved back to Petaluma,
you could get away with no car.
Yeah. And actually a friend of mine was like, you're going to need a car.
Yeah, it's like a dream.
I know somebody, my ex-husband actually, who has 4 children. He does not have a car, and he works in San Francisco. So, I mean, it can be done. It's very challenging.
Doable because there's a great commute bus.
You can catch the 74.
Yeah, but he's got kids all over the place with schools everywhere, and like, I mean,
kids all over.
So
the
what?
place.
I don't know how he does it. Honestly, he's driving himself crazy, but it can be done.
It can be done, but it cannot be done efficiently or effectively in this area. So we have a car, and we cannot wait to sell it and move on to our next adventure.
Oh my God!
Wow.
There's a spoiler alert. There might be something coming down the road.
So I wanted to create something that was accessible, both location independent for me, but accessible for people. And so one of the surprises of that is that since I started, we're on our 3rd cohort of fellows right now, recruiting for our 4th. And every cohort has had somebody from another country in it, which has been I haven't marketed to other countries. I haven't marketed as a global program, but it has, our first program had somebody from Mexico. The second one had somebody from India, and the current cohort has somebody from Ireland in it.
Oh, nice.
So it's just been really fun. The India one, actually, they're asking us to now bring the program to India. So when that conversation, that pitch happened, I was talking to this woman at 9:00 at night, because the time difference is really significant. And my husband was overhearing, and he plays, he's classically trained sitar player, and like, we had Indian food at our wedding. Like, he loves India, but we've never been. And so we got off that phone. He said, "Are we moving?" So.
What a special thing for you to be able to have a program that can be international. I was a part of a year-long mastermind program that was a group of women from all over the world. And I remember we would have the woman who ran the mastermind was in Brooklyn. I was here in California. There were quite a few people in California. But we had somebody from Australia who had to get up at like 4 a.m. to be able to make the meetings. And it was, she did it. People do it when they crave that thing, whatever that thing is being offered, they'll do whatever it takes. And how special that now we live in a society in which technology plays a big part in all of our moving forward. And,
it creates a lot of opportunities that didn't exist before.
Exactly. So the opportunities that you had, now you can present tenfold.
Yeah.
So how special is that?
I studied for business school, and I took a GMAT prep course, and ahead of it through like Princeton or something, and it was all online, and I had the option of going to San Francisco every day for like 2 weeks, or I can't remember how much time, or doing it online. I thought, well, I'm going to do it online because I can multitask. And it totally changed my perspective about what was possible in terms of learning in the virtual space. I have never been more on my toes as a learner as I have been in that course.
I would agree with that 100%. In fact, now I feel like if I could be a student, an online student of everything all the time, that would be my full-time job. Do you know that when I went to the university, like the first time, many, many years ago, I did a year at ASU, and then I started traveling